Travelling to my sites, working my bees.
G'day, my name's Alan Teskey. My main aim in beekeeping is to experiment and to obtain as much honey from the hives as possible.
When I met Alan through my local beekeeping club, I knew nothing about bees. This was a drone layer and we found it's been overtaken by a small hive beetle. As you can see how they can proliferate in the cells. So the way you can save your frames, hose out the cells, as we're doing here, but then you can replace it back into a healthy hive and they'll be cleaned up quickly, and it saves you cutting out all these frames and destroying all your work. So as you can see in the water, all these grubs are getting washed out. So that shows you, the numbers, and this was caught early. So if it had been left to go to a dead out, you'd have a lot bigger troubles than this. So early detection is key. So don't be shy when you shake that water out, because out with it will come all those grubs who will be eaten alive by ants pretty quickly. And as you can see, even as Alan's tapping them there, they're flicking out like nothing else. Get all that water out, and we've done this time and time again with just a frame or two as necessary, mostly with stickies placed into a healthy hive. Do not place them into a hive if they are still full of grub, especially not into a weak one.
Today we're checking honey stickies that we've extracted, and as you can see here on the tag, the 2nd of the 2nd was the last time that we checked them. We generally check them 7 days apart. So we're going to open this one up now and check to see what wax moth or small hive beetle grub has started to rear or hatch in the supers. Holy weaver, what have we got here? Look at the size of those greater wax moth grubs. They're just about ready to go into a cocoon, or some of you look here, look on the side here. Just point over to where they are lying.
So all these?
All these along here are all cocoons where those large wax moth grubs, and that will now develop into moths. And they're similar to worms, that they're not a female and a separate male. They're both female and male, so they can start laying eggs again.
So as you pull across this webbing here, you can see the number of wax moth grubs that have developed just over the last 7 days. And the thing you've got to look out for is the fact that small hive beetle, in terms of size, the larvae of the small hive beetle are much smaller than this, and they are more of a white. Yes, these are darker.
Yep, the wax moth is a darker grey colour, whereas the small hive beetle is more white.
And the small hive beetle leave more of a mess, whereas these guys leave more of the webbing, as you can't miss. Yeah. So we'll have to go through all these frames, and some look pretty similar.
This particular frame has got pollen and honey that's been extracted in it. But 3 of these, boy, holy
look at that.
Just look at the amount of webbing and the amount of adult wax moth grubs. Right in here, look, as you can see here, there's quite a few cocoons that will hatch into the adult moths very, very shortly, if something wasn't done about it. The reason why we do it out on the grass is because the ants will kill all the wax moth grubs. If you look in the centre of the picture, and to the right, you'll see the ants getting stuck into the grubs. Right, now see that hole there, and the one above it. There's one there and there's one there. That's holes that have been bored through the timber by these greater wax moth grubs. All areas inside the supers have got to be checked for the cocoons and removed. And here's the number of cocoons that have been removed from the frames.
The bees will repair any holes that the wax moth makes in the frames of foundation or drawn comb, and will be replaced with drone comb.
It's like bean picking. It doesn't matter how many times you look at the frames, you'll always find more wax moth grubs. This particular frame here has had a lot of pollen in it, and you can see how the frame has been destroyed. We'll experiment with this particular one and mark it and see how the bees repair it. Like we've got some Chalkbrood disease. You can see the mummies that are out on the front landing board where the bees have taken them out of the cells and left them out on the landing board.
Early in the year, in 2009, at the end of summer, there was quite a lot of rain and there was a lot of chalkbrood as the bees come under stress because they couldn't get outside to work. A lot of the beehives went backwards.
These mummies on the landing board, the bees have taken them out of the cells and have just dropped them there. You can get some bees that are cleansing bees that'll take them all out, and you'll get other bees that'll just leave them in the cells. Yeah, well, it's young brood that hasn't developed, and the disease is taken over in the cells, and then the bees will, as I say, if they're cleansing type bees, they'll remove those mummies out of the cells and outside of the hive. Other bees will just leave them in there, and that can overtake the hive. Right, we're getting now into the inside of the hive. A little bit of brood. A little bit of brood. They're only working the one side of the brood. You need to divide it up so that they're working the total width of the box. Right, there's a mummy that I've just pulled out. This frame here has got quite a few mummies in it. It looks like they have been pulling them out. So what we'll do here, I'll pull these out and help them to clear it. Mummies can be all different sizes because they're at all different stages. Oh, that'll do you.
If a larva is infected and cooled, spores may germinate in its body. The bees will check those cells out to see what is the problem with them.
See there's a little hole that the bees have opened up to see what's the matter with that cell. Now they have a chalkbrood mummy in it. There's a black one. It's an older one. What I generally do if the hive's strong, I generally put this frame up in the honey super, and within a couple of days I'll clean it out, but this particular hive is not strong enough to be able to do that with. Sometimes the bees will supersede the queen also. Because there's not enough bees in this particular hive they're drawing a certain amount of it out of the cells, but there's just too much for them to completely draw the whole lot out. So I'm just helping them by taking some of the mummies out, many as I can. Then we'll rearrange the brood super, and I'll put a winter mat on this to keep the warmth in. If this hive was strong and put these brood up in the honey super for them to clean out, they clean this out within a couple of days to put honey in. It's been in the brood chamber, it'll just get left there until they just gradually do it, or they could go backwards altogether.
When bees come under stress, whether it is by reduced numbers in bees or by wet weather, chalkbrood can become a problem.
A few chalkbrood mummies in here. What I do now is I wash my hands because the Chalkbrood disease is contagious. That's the hot tool that I use for pulling out my Chalkbrood mummies. It's a piece of spoke from a wheel, sharpened to a point, and a slight curve on the end. The queen. There's the queen. She's only a young queen. Nice young queen. They've only been working this particular hive the one side. There's no honey in the brood chamber in this particular hive. The second super is empty and the top super is nearly full of honey. So what I need to do, because it's coming into autumn, I need to put a frame of honey on each outside to give them a little bit of warmth, and then we'll put a winter mat on there. Right, I'm taking a frame of honey out of the honey super and putting it into the brood super on the outside to give the bees some warmth. Because there's no honey in the brood chamber, and they need at least one frame of honey in the brood chamber.
On each side of the outside of the brood super to retain warmth.
You put one frame of honey on each side to the outside wall of the brood super. We're going to put a winter mat on to help keep warmth in the brood chamber, so the queen will increase in numbers. If you don't keep the brood warm, you find that this hive will go backwards and will probably die out. Right, we've now got a frame of honey on the outside wall of each side. The winter mat overlays to that frame to keep the warmth in. What I'm doing now is, this bottom super here is empty. This one here is nearly full, but it's got two of the empty frames from the brood chamber in it. I'll now knock this back to a 2 super high honey hive. You probably won't see them, but look on top here. That's what fell out as soon as I took the trap out. 6 weeks, yeah. This frame that I took out of the brood chamber, empty one, I put in the centre of the honey hive.
It is the utmost importance that 2 frames on either side of the beetle traps are removed of all propolis and wax.
I'll now put the trap back in, now that we've emptied it.
So as the beetle trap fits snugly in between the 2 frames and the cover fits snugly across the top. Otherwise the bees will populise between the grooves in the trap.
I don't want the beetles to... Right, this particular hive is now complete, and it'll probably stay a double till early spring, or till the blue gum and the iron bark starts to come out in force. Because at the present time, with this super here that's got no honey in it, the sticky that was put on 6 weeks ago, there's too much airspace in the hive for the bees to keep the hive warm. That's why we've already put a winter mat on, and it is now early April. So depending on the situation, you can put winter mats on early in the autumn, depending on the strength of your hive. Right, I'm just cleaning the entrance and getting all the chalkbrood mummies off the front entrance board of the hive to give them a better go at cleaning the hive.
This particular site only gets about 4 hours sunlight per day between spring and autumn. In winter it gets less sunlight, and the area seems to be a lot cooler than if it was in full sunshine. After the hive was reassembled, it survived the winter and became another productive hive in the apiary.
All those little specks that's on the ground there, they're Chalkbrood disease, which has been flipped out of the frame.